Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Michael. We're very excited to have you joining us this morning on a cloudy morning in Charlottesville, Virginia. But that's just a cloudy morning is just a reason to settle into your comfy spot or your comfy chair, grab your café con leche or your cup of coffee, and watch some Today y Mañana. So we have a lot lined up. Michael, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good this morning. Thank you, Alex. How about you?
I'm doing well. Glad to be on here with you this morning. So we got a fantastic show lined up for you. We're going to be joined very shortly by Kenneth Farmer. He is an antiques advisor and authenticator, as well as we'll talk a little bit about a band that he has. And then later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Anwar Allen. He's a baker and owner at Allen's Scottish Shortbread. He's coming back to the show he was on last year, so we're bringing him back to Today Mañana to see what's new at Allen's Scottish Shortbread.
We've gotten some preview of what's new, and I could say it looks pretty exciting.
It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I'd say the same. As always, love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. We are always presented by Emergent Financial Services and powered by our friends at Craddock Serious Insurance, at Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, at the Gym CVille, at Castle Hill Cider, and we are always partnering with Ford Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So we've got a lot in store, but I'm excited to get going.
Yeah, we got a lot of ground to cover. So why don't we just jump into it?
Before we do it, I know a little shout out. One of our biggest fans of Today Mañana it's her birthday today, our Aunt Fefe. So we just wanted to wish her a very happy birthday live from here on Today Mañana.
She turned 35 for the 20th straight year. Pretty remarkable achievement.
Young at heart. She's always young.
Every time we always ask our aunt how old she is, she always says 35. It's been that way for I'd say good 20 years, right?
Yes, as long as I can remember. You know, she just never ages.
Ages.
It's beautiful. So a very happy birthday to one of our favorite fans of Today Mañana. So be sure to like and share. Send us any comments, questions you have this morning as we jump on in. I know a lot of people already liked in the post. We got James Burton. Thanks for watching this morning. Let's see, we got who else we got here? John Knoll, thank you. Fernando Dare, Sarah Bon Harper, Kay Monroe, Justin Tooley, Tarovella Vincenzo, we got from all the way from Italy watching the show this morning, and Ann Blair. Thank you all for liking our early post this morning and about the announcement about today's show. So we got a lot going on, and I say we jump right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
Absolutely. So we're excited to welcome to the show this morning Ken Farmer. He is an antiques advisor and authenticator. Ken, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Happy to be here.
It's great to have you on. So for those who don't know you, aren't familiar with you, how did you first become? It's such a fascinating business. I know a lot of people. I think of antiques authentication. You think of like Antiques Roadshow and so forth. But how did you first become interested in the world of antiques?
Well, first of all, I do appraisals and advisory work. Authentication is an entirely different thing.
So you do the appraisal.
When you do an appraisal, you can assume authentication.
Interesting.
But like if you had an Andy Warhol, and it was an original, and it was going to be $50 or $100 million, you would want it blessed before you sold it. And that's where the authentication thing comes in. And every artist, every object is different. A lot of general antiques, you don't have to authenticate them. You just have to say what condition they're in. But going back to your other question, and when I do an appraisal, I have a clause in there that says that if I get information that contradicts my assumption that something is authentic, then I reserve the right to call a friend. Change my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're two different things. But how did I get started? My mother always said I had champagne taste on a beer budget.
That's a good one.
And I like stuff. It's a sickness. Anybody that makes a living dealing with, antiques and personal property, you've seen these TV shows about hoarders and, there are people that collect and people that work in museums. We just love looking at stuff. We love figuring out the details of it. And when my wife and I first got married, we didn't have any money, And there was a furniture store there. We lived in Withville at the time, and there was a furniture store there that sold new furniture that we thought was not too great. Plus, we weren't making that much money, and we weren't going to spend thousands of dollars to furnish our little apartment. So we started going to junk shops and auctions. And back then, before the internet, you could sneak up on things, and we were the people with no money that at the end of the auction would buy all the junk on the porch. And pretty soon we had so much stuff we had to start selling. But we furnished our house. We bought a new mattress and box springs and a sofa, and of course I had to have a recliner.
It's a must.
No other new stuff. So, we went to a junk shop and got a folding table and chairs, and it just all grew from there. And then, when we had so much of it, and we really sort of, my interest was in the southern stuff, southern Appalachia, because we were in Southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, Western North Carolina. We liked the stuff made in that region. And that was really how we got started. We went to I remember, I used to be able to buy like a brass-bound Stanley Level for $2, and I could shine it up. This is like 1975. I could shine it up and take it to the Charlotte flea market and sell it for $25. That was real money.
Yeah.
And one weekend we went there and we made like $2,000, and I said, man, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to do this. And, it all grew out of that, just loving stuff, always wanting to know about the next thing. At the same time, I was playing in a bluegrass band, and I did that almost full time for 3 years.
Wow.
Thank God my wife taught school and had her health insurance.
Between the bluegrass band.
I was one of those, I was a supported husband, I guess. But I was doing the antiques thing and doing the music thing at the same time. And it led to an occupation, My dad always said, find something you love doing and then find somebody crazy enough to pay you to do it.
There you go.
So, my dream has come true.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah. And then I know you had
so when did you kind of actually get your, I don't know, when you became an authenticator of antiques?
Appraiser,
excuse me. Yeah, appraiser in this case. Like, when did that actually come to fruition for you?
Well, we moved to another town. We actually raised our family in Radford. And we had been dealing at that point. This is like 1980. So we'd been dealing for 6 or 7 years. And I was already doing appraisals, because I enjoyed it. And my wife said, why don't you call the newspaper and see if they would be interested in writing a story about you? So I called the Roanoke Times, and they did. They had this thing called the Current for the New River Valley. All of a sudden, the phone starts ringing for appraisals.
Wow.
So during that time, I was doing real estate, and I actually did real estate appraisals. And then there reached a point in the, I guess in the early 90s, that I decided that I wanted to focus on auctions and personal property. Somebody bought a building down there, and they wanted to flip it and couldn't sell it, and so they finally talked me into do it because, my first auctions were out of the back of a pickup truck. And back then, you put the stuff on tables or whatever, and, I think at that point, we're talking, early 80s, all the auctioneers where I lived wanted to do real estate.
Interesting.
Because the money was so much bigger.
Yep.
And there was this huge tradition of selling farms at auction. And if the personal property was there, one of the guys, he loved selling real estate, but he hated selling personal property. He called it pots and pans. And I said, so I'll take the pots and pans, And I did obvious things to me that nobody had ever done down there, like make a list and sell it in numerical order and say what it is. Otherwise, they'd have the stuff spread out on farm trailers and be, all right, how much for this, and how much for this, and how much for this, and
like an old fashioned, just like a.
But that was the way it was.
Done.
It was a very rural tradition. I don't know that. I mean, I know that around here in Charlottesville, I know a guy that used to do sales on the premises, and until COVID, that was still a somewhat valid way to do it. The business has changed so much because of COVID. And you would think, that there would never be a substitute for that live auction format, this, sort of like the fellowship thing and being entertained.
Yep.
And that's, an auction's the only place you could go to and let your kids run wild. They might not have any place for you to use the bathroom, but you go there and let your kids go crazy. Or that's the way some people did it at our auctions. But eventually we had to buy tents because we got tired of getting rained on.
Yep.
And then, eventually we actually had to do digital clerking. Back then it was a DOS line, a hard wire between the stand and the clerking area.
Wow.
And they used DOS because it wouldn't mess up. And the running record was a dot matrix computer, and every time you sold something, it would print a line out.
Of a sale.
And so I'll never forget the first time we did that, and I said to the guy that was doing it, he came from like somewhere in the Midwest to do it. And so I'm getting ready to start the auction, and he's up there, and I said, so who's going to write this down? And of course, we went from there.
The computer's going to write it down.
Yeah. To
machine.
I mean, now the business is almost all
online,
digital, online.
What changes? So what's for those who are new to it, what's the process like of working with you? How do people typically approach you? They'll have something they want to get appraised, or will it often be an estate sale? What's the typical means by which sort of the process works when someone approaches you for appraisal work?
Okay. A typical month for me is most leads either come in through the telephone or through the internet. And somebody will say, I have an estate and, my aunt passed away or my mother went to, extended care or whatever. And it could be one item or it could be a house full. And usually what we start with is what we call a walkthrough, where we'll go to somebody's house and, we'll do a house call around here within, say, an hour's drive for a set fee of $350. And I don't go on the clock at that point. I just do the house call. Although sometimes when people call or email, if it's an attorney or a wealth manager or something, they already know what they need. Not everybody needs a written appraisal. Those are pretty involved, but everybody that has items they want to sell needs to know what they got.
Okay.
So I did one yesterday down near the university, a really nice big house, and I looked at everything, and the guy was thinking that if there was anything in there that was big, that he would want to have some kind of equitable distribution with his children, but also he knows that downsizing is on the horizon, and he was just trying to get his ducks in a row. So I told him what he had, and we talked about the different ways to do things, which is really kind of a moving target these days, because what I would have recommended 3 years ago is completely different from what I recommend now, because everything has changed so much. But in those situations, I think you're trying to make it as stress-free as possible, because folks in those positions are already stressed out enough, and the last thing they need to do is to worry about selling the real estate and getting it broom clean and having 50 years worth of accumulations, standing between them and a closed real estate transaction. So I approach it from that point of view, but lots of our business is as I said to you earlier, we do taxable estates. We do things that are used in court proceedings and with the IRS.
Oh, okay.
So we're set up to do all that. We have a software package we subscribe to that stays updated on all the guidelines. There's the federal government, in its inestimable wisdom, has reached out to control the appraisal business several different times, mainly during financial crisis. Like back in the early 80s, we had the savings and loan crisis.
Yep.
You remember when we had, y'all don't remember, you're too young, but.
Fortunately, our father doesn't. When you work in finance, you learn about it.
Right, well, you know what happened.
You know what happened.
That all these, they blamed a lot of it on the appraisers, saying that they made the appraisals to order. Like, in Northern Virginia, somebody wants to build a $20 million office building, so they give them a $20 million appraisal. And so they came up with all these guidelines, and it's called USPAP, Uniform Standard Professional Appraisal Practices. And it's a big fat book, and 80% of it is related to real estate. And about 20% of it is related to personal property. And so if you do an appraisal and it's going to be in a court of law, or if it's going to be like presented to the IRS for a taxable deduction, you have to meet those guidelines. And the formal appraisal part of the business goes along with, helping people figure out what to do with their stuff.
Yep. So would you say that's a significant part of your role? Is to sort of, in other words, beyond even what it's worth, like what do I do with this accumulation, particularly if you're downsizing or it is an estate sale?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are people that specialize in downsizing, but we specialize in downsizing people that have antiques and better quality personal property. Lots of times, if it's not a house full of antiques, you might just need to go in and blitzkrieg it and get it ready to market.
Yeah.
And people that do downsizing can do that. Everybody I work with is backed up. Right now, if you're really successful at doing this, like if you're in the business of selling it, you're probably 2 months or more backed up.
Wow. Just this
nice problem to have.
Yep. Huh? Yeah, it is. It's a business. That's what we like to call good busy.
Yeah, well, it's when I first got in the business, I thought, man, I will never be without a job, because the auction business depends on the 3 Ds: death, divorce, and downsizing. And now, of course, the big one is downsizing.
It's happening very frequently. You see it all the time. So is it more of a question of, because I guess what people are trying to avoid, of course, is getting rid of, just tossing things that actually have significant value and figuring out what that value is?
Yes, and figuring a cost-efficient way to do that. You have to really keep an eye on the labor rates for doing stuff like that, because you don't want to spend $10,000 to get rid of $3,000 worth of stuff. But if you're in a hurry, you may have to do that, because labor's not cheap these days. But I've tried to pick out vendors that are pretty reasonable in terms if you give them good things to sell, they're more reasonable on the expense side, because it's very labor intensive handling personal property. I don't know if you have any relatives that have attics or basements full, but imagine how much work it is.
You don't have to go that far
to get to the walls. When we first started doing the auction business, we did everything. We wouldn't do the broom clean thing, but we'd clear out the attic and the basement. And there's still people that do that. But you might not want the same person that's selling your pots and pans to sell your $100,000 painting. It's two different things. So exactly. I think really the main thing is to learn what the value of what you have is and make the process cost efficient.
May I ask a question in terms of appraising? So when you, for example, let's say someone wants their like personal property appraised, and you go inside, they have like a bunch of antiques. How do you determine the value of their antiques? Like, is it based on age, sort of, are they like working condition, or whether like they're damaged? How does that work?
All of the above.
All of the above?
Well, for starters, first of all, when you look at something, you automatically, if you have product knowledge, you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, man, this is a nice early chest of drawers, and it looks like it has the old finish on it, and there's some little flowers inlaid on the sides of it, and all of a sudden you're getting real excited, because it might be made in, somewhere in Virginia before 1800. And then again, it might be from the 1930s and a colonial revival piece that looks like that. So first of all, you say what it is, then you get into the details. Like lots of times, one of the trickiest things we have to do is appraise early portraits and folk art portraits that are really great, but you may not have a comparable sale that you can say, oh, well, one just like this brought $100,000 or whatever, because you may not have direct comps. So then I would call on my colleagues that have been doing this for a long time and say, well, what do you think the fair market value of this would be? And, I already kind of may have an idea, but you can kind of do it by a consensus of consultation. If you say in the appraisal that you phoned a friend, then, I keep saying that's the old school thing, like that game show, Remember, the phone call. You call up your best friend and he doesn't know either. Oh, heck.
But at least he can pretend he knows.
So a lot of it is based on collaboration. That's the way Roadshow works. Antiques Roadshow asked me to come and help out with the Southern venues like 20-some years ago. And the reason they asked me was because then I subscribed to a CD-ROM service before, we had the capabilities we do now. Now I subscribe to all these databases. But that whole thing is you cannot go on Antiques Roadshow with something unless you have consulted a colleague and gotten at least one second opinion. And when we do that, there's all these different interest group tables, like I'm folk art or furniture or sometimes decorative art, sometimes musical instruments.
Oh, interesting.
Well, they think because I play the guitar that I know about instruments. And actually, I've had to learn a lot about them. Because musical instruments are
they a challenge?
They're so wide. I to this day, I'm still mystified by violins. In
terms of like...
Well, the ones that aren't marked. I mean, the common misconception about musical instruments is that you have an Antonio Stradivarius from your grandfather. Guess what? Go get a copy of a Sears and Roebuck catalog from about 1900, and there's a whole page of violins in there, and you can order any violin with anybody's label in it. What they are is factory-made copies. So if you have a violin with a paper label inside the sound hole that says Antonio Stradivarius, chances are it was made in Italy or Germany, and it was sold by Sears and Roebuck.
That's amazing. But wasn't actually a Stradivarius.
No. Well, there's less than...
There's so few.
Oh, yeah, there's like less than 15 of them or something. You
wow.
wish you did.
Yeah.
But, they're factory made. And hardly... When I used to work the musical instrument table, we'd see 2 or 3 of those a day.
Oh, wow.
So part of our job there is also bursting bubbles.
Yep.
Very gently.
Yeah, to do it.
That's a lot of the business anyway, because families have these stories, George Washington
played that
sat in this or played that Stradivarius. Thomas Jefferson might. I don't know if Washington played the violin, but I know Jefferson did. Anyway, so lots of times, I'll say, well, if George Washington sat in this, he'd have to come back from the grave, because this was made in 1850, and he died in the early 1800s, But it's just is what it is. And the other thing, I think the biggest thing, and this is probably true of any business, is to be smart enough to know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And don't just try to fake your way through it, Figure it out. It's not rocket science. There's people out there that know way more than I do about their specialties.
Yeah, figure it out, ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, just
consult.
First of all, just figure out if you think, you have to figure out if it's real. For instance, I saw an Andy Warhol print that was part of the series he did on Mick Jagger. Mm-hmm. And there were 12 of them in the set, and this guy's uncle bought the whole set, but he has one in a particular color palette, but both Andy Warhol and Mick Jagger signed it. So it's worth like $200,000. But you better believe I was doing a little checking before I stuck that number on there, mm-hmm. and I found an auction house in California that just sold one for like $180,000, and I happen to know the lady that runs it, so her modern person called me back, and after looking at the pictures, we both, figured that it was real. So, this guy's got an insurance appraisal for $200,000. But if it was a poster, printed even during the same time period, it wouldn't have been the same at all.
Nowhere near as valuable.
Well, and that's a touch of the authentication thing. You just don't go around sticking numbers on something. Mm-hmm. We're in the middle of one right now that this family has a bunch of Winston Churchill paintings, and we're having a lot of trouble trying to figure out if they're real.
Interesting.
Because his stuff brings a lot of money, not because of who he was, and he was not a bad painter, but, he must have been having some bad days as an artist. And, I'm kind of like, so I've decided I'm reaching out to a colleague that, grew up in the British Isles, and I bet you he'll know.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's probably somebody in England who is the guru of that type of Churchill's mm-hmm. art, and they're probably doing what they call the catalog raisonné. Mm-hmm. Like if you have a famous artist, somebody out there will go to the trouble to make a list of and a book, or like mm-hmm. a compendium of all their work. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to sell something or you want to put a value on it, you have to. That's a due diligence thing that you got to do.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, Ken, tell us a little bit about the band and also where people can get in touch with you and find you.
Okay. Well, the best way to get in touch with me is just type in Ken Farmer Antiques in Google.
Perfect.
And you can find me pretty fast that way. The business part of it, is very internet driven. So mm-hmm. that's, and I will say too, if they email me, I'll email them back with my direct cell phone number, because what's put on the net is an app where you have to dial 1 to get to me.
Okay.
So you can only leave a message on that. As far as the band goes, now there's where the authenticator name comes in.
Okay.
One of the wives of one of the guys in the bands, I wanted to call us like, Ken Farmer and the Bluesabillies or something like that, something that the other guys hated. And one of the wives said, well, why don't you just call yourselves the Authenticators, like they were trying to play on the fact, that I do Antiques Roadshow and everything. So there it went, and we've been playing now together, 3 or 4 years, and we do like, it's not bluegrass, it's all electrified, and we do a lot of old stuff, some new, but I would say the basic thing is that it's boogie woogie, kind of, rockabilly, old country, blues, just music you can dance to.
Awesome.
That's wonderful.
So our favorite place to play in Charlottesville is Dirty Nelly's.
Dirty Nelly's. There you go. There you go. That's the easy place to find.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anybody in Charlottesville doesn't know about Dirty Nelly's, just hadn't been here very long.
There you go.
But, we play around at wineries and different things, and it's a fun thing for us. We all get along really well. And we're playing a lot of the songs that I've listened to my whole life, just doing our take on them. And I don't think we'll be opening for Clapton anytime soon, but, we're having fun with it and playing around here. I think we're going to do some jobs in Richmond, and, this area is rich with musical people. And luckily for us, we're not trying to make a living doing it, because there's so many great singers and musicians out there. You wonder, how could somebody this good not be famous? But, a lot of it's just luck, but a lot of it's talent and being a good songwriter.
Yep.
So I don't expect to, get a Grammy anytime soon, but I'm going to
But you'll make some people happy.
I'm going to play, and I'm all, the other thing is I am always open to buying new equipment and guitars.
There you go. There you go. Oh, well, Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you
so much for coming
welcome.
on and joining us today. Thank you again. And so as we'll rotate you one way, and we'll have Anwar pop in the other way.
Right.
It's been a pleasure, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, that was
Cookie time.
fun. There you go, cookie time.
Cookie time.
There's a couple of shout-outs here. Thank you, John Blair, for watching the show this morning. Thank you, Michael Lampros, for watching us. Thank you, Sharon Snyder, for watching the show this morning. Got a lot of fans joining us this morning, and from one fantastic entrepreneur to another.
Yep.
We were really excited to welcome to the show Anwar Allen. He's the baker and owner at Allen's Scottish Shortbread. Thank you, Anwar, for joining us this morning.
Anwar.
Yeah, this is fun. I forgot how long it was since I've seen you guys.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a little bit. We're glad to have you back. Too long.
Yes.
I'll take it up with Nick. I'll be like, why did it take a year to bring Anwar back?
It's all good. And I'm getting to meet your brother. Yeah. I think I hung out with your dad last time.
Yup.
Right? Okay, so it's a family affair.
It's the upgrade, right, Anwar?
It's the upgrade.
See, now we got someone else to say it. See? So now it's official.
Your dad's going to kill me next time I see him. It's like, upgrade. I am the prototype.
Good one. So before we start, I got to say congratulations to you, because Allen's Scottish Shortbread won one of the United Way grants from the Minority Business Alliance. So we celebrated it, 2 Fridays ago?
It was.
At the club at Glenmore, so congratulations on that.
The clap.
Oh, yeah, it was the little clap thing, yeah. To do
there you go.
a little channeling some of my inner Jerry there with the clapper. But so congratulations on that, and just wanted to, as we bring you back, tell us what's new. What's new with Allen's Shortbread?
What is new? Well, okay, so some of you guys might be following us. I mean, there's people that tell me about my shortbread, and they remind me where it's at. I'm like, oh yeah, it's over there too. But recently we did, we're selling with Wegmans now locally, which is cool.
Wow, that's good.
And if people want to put in requests for new flavors, they can. We only have our 6-stick box there right now. It's always an interesting thing working with distributors, because they want to see the proof in the pudding first. So Whole Foods still carries our products. They are up to Jersey and up and down the East Coast, and then out west Midwest a little bit. But they don't have our flavors except for when it's seasonal. So they do have our celebration.
Swap it out.
Yeah. So back in the day when we first started, they had a lot of our flavors, and they wanted to streamline everything. And when we got a distributor and we got planogrammed at about the same time, as you do business, you go up a little bit. They have a little bit more say with what's going on, and they want to see the numbers. They want to see you work. They want to see your business progress. So they always kind of sort of say, hey, I think you should do this. And we're like, oh, you're telling us we have to do this. And that's okay, That's fine, because that was one thing when we first started at the markets years ago. we were like, we got to get into Whole Foods, like that was like the place. And back in the day, they actually had a local liaison doing that. They had somebody dedicated to that
to put in local
position.
On the
exactly.
shelf.
I don't think they have that anymore. Obviously, everybody knows now Amazon bought out Whole Foods, and Amazon's really good with the numbers, and so they streamline things.
They want
in
everything
the
to be
back.
tight.
Yeah, exactly. And when that all happened, we jumped on Amazon. Actually, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I'm sort of one of those guys. I sort of see things happening behind the scenes. I'm like, okay, let me do this just in case, And so it actually worked out. We do sell on Amazon, and nothing changed that I can perceive with the way they did things, on a larger scale. But they do still push local, just like Wegmans, the guy there. The guy who runs that store, shout out to him. He actually pushed for us to be there. We had tried to get into that store years ago, and it didn't happen. And so the new thing that's happening for us, another new thing is Fresh Market. So there's no Fresh Market here right now. Aldi's took the spot, but there's Fresh Markets up and down the East Coast. So that will be there in Easter. So if people are listening from the DMV area, I'm sure there's Fresh Markets up in Nova. And then obviously we have new flavors. We partner with a cool company, a tea company. A lot of tea enthusiasts know who they are. Harney and Sons Teas, and they've been awesome. Emmerich Harney has been awesome. His dad's been great. They're a family-owned company still too. So there's a guy named is Mike Emmerich, and their brother, I think his name's Paul. Even one of their wives works in the back end there. So it's not mom and pop shop. They're all over the world, but they're small enough that they gave us a chance, and they do flavors with us, and they give us hints and tips and how to kind of progress. And so one of the cool things is Emmerich, he was helping us. He's been our artist Susan. She draws all of the boxes,
which are really neat.
With us on there, so my wife's on there, my kids are on there. When we do the Harney designs, if you see the bunnies with the blue tartan, that's them actually. Oh. So that's their tartan that matches their last name.
Well, and I think one of them, like the cinnamon one, has you can see Harney and Sons drawn in,
so
a little shop.
That's their factory, so to speak. It's our depiction. I've been to their warehouse and all that stuff, but I've never been in the tea room. So maybe they'll let me come up there and go in there. Fun. But they've been instrumental. They've helped us kind of come up with new flavors. My wife comes up with all the writing on the back. She's an English major here in school, so she gets to kind of see her imagination come to life. The birthday box as well. There's a lot of that birthday box. Our daughter's godparents are very involved in their life. And on that box is George Morris. He's a chaplain for the basketball team, Tony Bennett's chaplain. So
that's awesome. So basically, they're trying to little Peter Rabbit style
everything.
Of real people.
Yeah, there's a story behind every box. Even the wedding box we did. It was around our time that we renewed our vows. We did. So we're 16 years married, I think. I've known her for 18, 20 years. So we were thinking about this in college. So it's kind of cool to see
the fruition
come to. Yeah, so everything we do, there's always sort of a picture we get, a vision of where we might want to go, and sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Like, for instance, Fresh Market, I tried to get in there, and I just kind of dropped it. A couple years later, they call me up, and they're like, hey, we want to put you, their distributor, one of their main distributors, say, hey, we want to put you in. Like, yeah, of course, And it's stuff like that. People call us up and say, I'm putting in a good word for you with this place, And then all the while, there's stores in Charlottesville right here, two doors down. Market Street Market. We did Roxy Daisy. Now there's another place on the downtown mall, Rock Paper Scissors. You know what I'm saying? There's so many places that have given us a shot, tried us out, and so people have their habits. They like to go to certain places for the local fix. So Foods of All Nations.
That's where we find you all the time.
Yeah, and they have all of our flavors. They're the ones that weren't afraid to take a chance on us at the get-go. And when we have a new flavor, them and some of our other local places, Virginia Shop, Happy Cook, they give us a shot. We're like, hey, we got something new. Like, all right, we'll try it out. You know what I'm saying? And the people, they honor that. Their clients honor that. And so we're really excited. It's like everything has like it still is local. It still has to have that local feel. And we still like to see the support from our local fan base, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Because they're fans of the bunnies. I talk to people about the shortbread, and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy that does this?" You know, they don't even know my name. I'm the shortbread guy. You know, their kids know me as a bunny. If you know Chris Long, I went to a basketball game not too long ago, and George invited me to come and just hang out in the back, see some of the team. And I saw Chris Long. We used to have class together. And I said, "Yo, what's up, Chris? Da da da." He's like, "Hold on 1 second. My son wants to meet you." This is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. His son runs up to me, gives me a big hug, and he's like, "You're the shortbread man, right?" So I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." Chris Long's son knows me
as the shortbread,
and I'll take it, because that's what it's about. They have a connection. The parents have a connection. There's artists that love the boxes.
Yep.
So shout out to Shoes and Chie. It's all her art, with my wife's. So people actually cut out the boxes and frame them.
And saved. I can
listen,
see
I'm
that.
not surprised because sometimes the box is so beautiful. I don't want to. Afterwards, you're like,
It's
can we keep
that you kind of want to
so
keep
beautiful.
the box
Yeah.
after you eat the shortbread.
I like that. It forces you. You're like, I can't throw this away, and I'm like, don't, because we pay for the boxes, and we want you to enjoy them and send them to people. A lot of people. Last couple years, it's been bad. Our country, going through the pandemic, all that stuff. People were sending us shortbread. You know what I'm saying? As get well gifts, as just thinking of you gifts, and we would, we put messages in there. My wife in her beautiful handwriting will handwrite the letters or whatever it is and send them off to such and such in California or whatever. We've sent it to Canada, you know what I'm saying? So it's been interesting to see what the shortbread has actually taken on. It's much more than a snack, or it's good for a pantry item, but it's been much more than that. A lot of people have connected with the story. They remember us from the markets, 6 a.m., rain or shine. Like, those people at the markets, show them some love, because there is a lot that they do to get there. Yeah.
And all the work that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I had a question. You were talking before about going through all your flavors and whatnot. How long does it take you to kind of like perfect what flavor you want to do? Like, if you're like, oh, I have this, for example, you got this cinnamon spice one. Like, how long does it take you to be like, oh, I'm trying this? It's like, oh, that's not enough cinnamon. Maybe a little more. Like,
sometimes it's a little bit. Okay, so sometimes it's a tinkering process. Some of the flavors, they're right away, because I remember growing up loving snickerdoodles, right? You remember in school they had the cart. You bring your 25 cents to school so you can get the cookie on Friday or whatever. So I'm like, all right, this is what it's supposed to taste like. Okay, so, throwing some cinnamon, throwing this, throwing that. Okay, this is what it, what I'm saying? But you still want it to taste like shortbread because it's not a cookie. Some of them we did matcha chocolate chip. And matcha was Emmerich's, his family would go to Japan. They would do this tea ceremony thing. They have friends over there, contacts that they're really cool with. We actually sell in Japan too, actually. I mean, they're tea shops over there.
International.
Yeah, and they have our little, it's cool. And so we had to send it to him. We put real matcha in the shortbread. So if you can imagine what matcha is, it's a powdery tea, green tea. Imagine the first time I put the matcha in there. I didn't know. It flew up in my face. So I'm covered in green powder. I go places to deliver, and I'm like, what is this guy doing, But you had to mix it and make sure the proportions were right. Then we'd send it up to the company, to Harney and Sons, because I think Emmerich was a vegan at the time, so he would eat it and spit it out. I don't know. But I'd give it to my daughters. You know what I'm saying? And a kid will tell you if it's good or not. So I have Willow and Sky. They're on all the boxes. And my best taste tester is actually Samaria. So Samaria has been she's the one that would wake up with me in the mornings to go to do the markets. Wow. I'm sure Whole Foods wouldn't like knowing it, but I've done demos with her in the stores. My wife has gone to demos with her in another store. We would compete to see who could sell the most. My daughter only sold 2 less boxes than me one Christmas, and she was like 6 or 7.
Good.
So we'd set her up, and my wife would just watch there, with some tea and some just hanging out. And my daughter would be killing it. And
well, let's be honest. I mean, you have this adorable 6-year-old selling cookies. It's like you're like, oh, you want? Well, I'm not sure. And then the 6-year-old, of course, I'll take all of them.
Exactly. And I'm seeing numbers going. She's calling. I'm like, oh my God, to get my A game on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm selling furiously, trying not to let my daughter beat me. But the story is, she knows the shortbread inside and out. So she's helped me, make some batches here and there. She helps me do box. She's 14 now, so I think I can say she's helped me work a little bit. I'm like the Chick-fil-A of shortbread, just about. And it's cool. And so the matcha shortbread, the cherry chocolate shortbread, any of those extra flavors, we send them off to them. But we actually eat it, we taste it, and we want to know. Okay, the other part, the secret to making good shortbread. Sometimes Grandma has to try it out. Grandma is 96 years old or 97 or something like that.
That's wonderful.
She's still alive. God save the Queen, and so she also knows about the new flavors we're going to do, and we've said, hey, should we do this? Should we do that? There's been some flavors she'll be like, no, like no. It's just
she already knows from her experience. Don't go there.
It's that sort of brainstorming process. We try it out. We check out what other bakers are doing. I like to see what Martha Stewart does with her shortbread or whatever it is. And so there's other people that have come up to us at markets and they've been like, my grandma makes the best almond such and such shortbread. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, we like to be a nut-free facility, so we've seen some good recipes that we couldn't do. But the story, there's a lot of people have given us good ideas, and so there it is. It's again with the
competitive driver comes in and said, my grandma makes the best, chocolate shortbread.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, not for long.
Oh my gosh. You can't imagine how many people have sent us reviews on Amazon. They're like, I like your shortbread. It's not like my grandma's. I'm like, gosh. I'm like, come on, give me your bread. You know what I'm saying? You're still going to buy it, right? So, I don't mind. I think everybody's got a connection with it. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's good shortbread. It's got a great buttery finish. It's got a great taste.
Yeah, if you hear this crinkling, this is me opening the pumpkin spice
that's
one.
The pumpkin spice. That's a good one.
And it's the season, right?
Season.
I know a lot of people love the pumpkin spice here.
I remember when I first started seeing pumpkin spice everything, lattes, I was like, that's not going to work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't put pumpkin in everything, but apparently you can.
Exactly. It's become almost a national holiday. It was like last week or a couple of weeks back, Starbucks was bringing back that's all everyone was talking about.
Oh
pumpkin spice lattes back at Starbucks.
And you know what? Holiday. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that if we look at the news, we can see something good to
I'm happy to see the pumpkin spice latte in the news.
CNN, they'll put like Donut Day. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's go with that.
It's good news.
I was past that one.
I'm past this. Yeah. Oh,
there we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
You know what I love about it is that you get the hint of the pumpkin spice flavor, but like you always said, you still know it's shortbread.
Exactly.
You have the buttery sweetness of the shortbread.
Yeah.
Even though there's it's pumpkin spice.
Yeah, and and I imagine people have different ways of eating it when they're a kid, and so they're looking for a certain. They want to get taken back to their childhood. But the cool thing is other clients have actually defended us on those pages, so we don't ever have the same thing. They're like, you still ate it, you still bought it, you knew what you were getting yourself into, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's great.
And you're going to buy it again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think everybody's got their feel for what it, but I think at the end of the day, I think you're still, it's a good little, like you were saying, the packaging, the way that we brand it, it speaks for something else besides just food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's an experience.
It has. I think there's something classic about shortbread itself. It's, for me, it always gives me the connotations of warmth, Christmas time, the winter,
family.
And when you combine it with the packaging, I think it kind of takes you back to that.
Yeah.
Time when just being all together with a fireplace going, eating some shortbread, having a little hot cocoa or some tea, right? And the packaging helps to remind you of that as well. I mean, the shortbread itself does. Yeah. Then you'll see the Christmas package, and there's the little fireplace, the rabbits decorating the tree. Yeah. It reminds you of that.
Yes.
And I think it's a good, it's a beautiful feeling to have.
Yeah, it's a statement in and of itself. I think one thing that we wanted to say with, with the packaging, with the presentation, is that I think we move a little too fast. You know what I'm saying? And I think like we don't, like there's mothers that, find me or see me randomly. You're the bunny on the, I'm like, yeah. They're like, me and my daughter have tea time. Or me and my son have tea time with this. Or my husband loves this, and when he takes a break at work, he eats this every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, how many times, we have this idea of fast food. So why do we have to have it be fast? You know what I'm saying? What are we moving into so quickly? You know what I'm saying? And so our rhythms, our pace, our peace, you know what I'm saying, is being assaulted from so many different places. So I'm saying, okay, with food, how can we at least be a positive? You know what I'm saying?
And slow it down, like have it be.
Right. So we're not just trying to sell like, see how many cookies we can sell in a year. Like, obviously, my daughters eat off of this. You know what I'm saying? It's our bread and butter. But like a part of the
literally,
yeah, literally it is. People ask us the recipe, and I'm like, I'm not telling you. It's bread and it's butter. But a part of the process is like, okay, reminding people like over there in London, for instance, right? They have tea. They have a tea time. You know what I'm saying? It's like you were saying, it's almost like a national holiday. It's almost like a holiday. In France, they sit down, they have their butter and their baguettes. They take a Wednesday off. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's,
in Italy, they go and have their pastries. In Spain, they don't
They-
sleep for
yeah, they
ramen.
go and
Sometimes
have-
not as
yeah,
much, but
yeah,
in
they go-
Spain, they would go to sleep for 3 hours.
Exactly.
And it's true. But in America, sometimes it feels like we work. We don't stop.
oh my gosh.
And at some point, you have to have something that encourages you like this to say, I need to stop and rest. And sometimes you need to be at rest.
Hey, I love that. And my wife writes about that. She's always like, the bunnies sat together and they rested. And then she used some word I've never heard about. She's an English major, blithely. I'm like, what is that? Where is that in the dictionary? But she's always surprising me. But yeah, it's fun and it's good to do that. The cool thing is that we've been able to do it together. She works, I do the baking. I have a team of bakers now, as opposed to I was doing everything by myself, burning the candle at both ends. And so we have a chance now as we're growing. We won the grant. That was a beautiful thing. Thank you, United Way. I think it was Ella Jordan and Barbara Hutchinson. So a lot of people,
United Way.
beautiful people that were making these decisions. And I think a part of it was like, okay, what do we do next? You know what I'm saying? We have more space now. Our shortbread is in more places. That means that we're not, I used to demo all the time, handing out samples. It's less of that and more of like dreaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's next? Like we have flavors. The Harney, their camp, they're like, you guys need to do tins. So I'm like designing tins and trying to figure out what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Laura's got an imagination out the window, out the roof. She's like, we need to do mugs. You know what I'm saying? We need to do like tea time. Because when she grew up, they had all the tea sets. They had the blankets.
It was a big culture, yeah.
Exactly, and people still look for them. They go on eBay.
Oh, yep.
And put in the Bunnykins or Peter Rabbit, whatever it is, like this.
And the fact that people still look for it tells you there's an underlying desire to get back to that, to sort of recapture what it means to just stop and have your tea and your shortbread, like have that time of peace.
Right. You could see that coming in everything, fashion, music, even. Everything kind of comes back in cycles, you know what I'm saying? And I think our generation is like the last generation, one of the last generations, and I'm hoping we continue to pass it on, to like kind of remember like what's good about our culture, where we've come from, Americana, little, Latin this, you know what I'm saying? There's things that I eat that are from my roots, but they're also kind of passed on. My mom's from Aruba, my dad's from Jamaica. So I remember I can go to a Latin store and get those little coconut things.
Oh yeah,
or those cookies, the sabor cookies. Those I can't remember. Or also have to make it so beef patties. You know what I'm saying? And cola champagne. You know what I'm saying? There's things that I pass on to my kids. So it's the same with the Scottish tradition. There's people's families that their grandma would break these things out. You know what I'm saying? They pass it on to their kids. That's going to be something they'll remember.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to be able to pass that on too.
Hey, yeah. So that's my daughters. That's my biggest hope, is just to have something to pass on to them. I like the fact that we run our own business. We're a little less kind of entangled with all the busyness or having to be somewhere at this time, and having most of my friends, they do a vacation. There's only like a window that they can do a vacation on. We go off season. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of control a lot more of our rhythms. You know what I'm saying? And we're not worried about like making a leap into a new thing. And if it fails, it fails. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? But with some people, they do something, they can get fired. You know what I'm saying? Or they make a suggestion and they're blackballed at the table of making decisions. So there's a lot of little things that come with all entrepreneurs. They love to be able to make their decisions. You guys are all entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying?
That's the beauty of it, right? You've reached, and especially it sounds you've reached that beautiful growth stage of like, okay, we can dream, we can take some risks, we can be flexible, we can do things that, because we're no longer just like, you know, trying to just make things work with the startup phase. Like we're now in the phase where you can think of new ideas and pursue them.
Yeah, and I mean the bigger picture, it's like it's my family. You know what I'm saying? It's for them, but also have like sort of some breath in the space. Like after this, I'm gonna do some work, whatever. I'm gonna go pick up my daughter Sky at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day. You know what I'm saying? And my wife isn't gonna have to rush around, get through town, to go here, get there. You know what I'm saying? We can kind of co-do these things. And that's the way to work. But we can do these things together. You know, we're at a place where there's just more space. Yeah. You know? The beauty, the two sides of entrepreneurship, right? You work extremely hard, right? Right. And if something needs to get done at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, you have to do it, right? But on the other hand, there's the flexibility of saying, you know what, this picking up my daughter is really important to me, and I'm going to organize my business around that rather than I'm locked into a 9 to 5 working for somebody else. Yeah, because I mean, you think about it, there are a couple things that kind of like, there's been times where one of my workers couldn't come in. My daughter came in and helped me out. We were up till like 2 in the morning building a pallet for Whole Foods. When we did QVC, we're doing HSN, by the way. That's going to be cool. But we're going to do a little bit more streamlined. It'll work for us. But one time we did QVC, we're doing pallets 2, 3 in the morning. I had to go and drive the pallets, 3 of those pallets. I got a Penske truck, from the little place up here, drove it down. I got a pallet from Whole Foods because I didn't have a pallet jack. Got a pallet jack from them, took it down to Rocky Mount, Virginia or something like that, some place, whatever. I threw on a plaid shirt because I wanted to feel like a trucker that day. I showed up to the QVC spot. The tower is as tall as the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? That she's looking at me like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, big trucks go through there. So I did all that by myself. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm never doing this again. But that was like one of those things. Like we went and showed up on TV, for a little 8 minutes. Nobody knew what the heck went into that. You know what I'm saying? As an entrepreneur, nobody knows that you had to drive hours to go. You had the appraising guy on here. You know what I'm saying? All the things that he has to do. I'm sure he's had to drive hours just to go see one painting. And maybe not even make, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Because he's getting paid on commission.
And all people see is the final result. Right. They don't see all the hours.
Exactly. I love Antiques Roadshow. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know what all that, I didn't know. I just listened to him. I didn't know all that went into it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things that go into your specific business, a lot of things that can happen that can go wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if my stuff's going to make it to Japan. You know what I'm saying? When I send it over there in big old boxes. So there's a lot of blind faith things that happen. You know what I'm saying? That have to a lot of things have to go into that to make it work. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's the beauty of the entrepreneur. Is there's a risk and there's some things that can go wrong, but when it goes right, home run.
Exactly.
Exactly. I love it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So Anwar, before we let you go. best places where if people want to see, see all the flavors, get an idea, go get some. What would some suggestions? I mean, and now it's a long list of. I was going to ask where do people find you, and we'll be here for
almost everywhere.
Yeah. Well, so I guess one thing I have to do, this is on me. I got to put something on my website to be like AlanScottishShortbread.com, where all the things are. We used to do it, but I want to do that. Obviously, Foods of All Nations, Happy Cook, Virginia Shop, Market Street Market, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Shenandoah Joe's, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, nice.
Traeger Brothers, they have all our stuff too. So many other places, obviously, man, I hate to do this because I'm going to forget somebody. Whole Foods, you know what I'm saying? Wegmans.
So many.
There's
and then AlanScottishShortbread.com, can you see all the different flavors there?
You can see all the flavors. We have different packs. We're always running sales. I'm sure Laura's probably doing a sale right now. She's like, she is like my little, she is my little money queen. She knows how to make that money.
There you go.
So I love her to death. And so there's lots of different things that we'll do on the website, throw out some sales, all that stuff. We usually do a little clavia. We'll throw stuff out there. So, be on the lookout. If you go on our webpage, little banner up on top, there'll be some sales probably running some pumpkin spice sales or something like that.
Yeah, probably. You got some pumpkin spice friends right now, Nicholas and Elizabeth Urpí. My other brother, he does it. They are pumpkin. Okay. He said, what was his comment? Nick and Elizabeth Urpí are proud pumpkin spice lovers for life.
Love it. Yeah. Bel Air Market and Ivy Nursery have it too. So a lot of people hit them up. Man, it's hard. I guess one of these days I got to get it memorized and do a better job. But yeah, I think if you put in Alan Shortbread, a lot of people are really good about their websites. They're a lot of good about putting it there and saying, hey, we got this. And
which you've got. I mean, you go to AlanScottishShortbread.com and it's all there. It's all there.
Yeah,
all the packs, you can see all the flavors.
But if I Google Bunny Man Charlottesville, do you show up?
Oh my gosh.
That's what we have to. That's what you have to get.
So you know what I gotta do? That's a good idea. I gotta get on my game and start walking around Charlottesville in a bunny suit. I do have a kilt, by the way, but I don't break that out too often. It draws attention, and people kind of like, what is going? You know what I'm saying? So. But yeah, definitely check out the website, Amazon. And, definitely we're one email away, you know what I'm saying? So Absolutely. We're mom and pop shop still. If you have suggestions of where we should be, we're always taking those. We like to kind of honor the voice of the customer.
Absolutely. So. Love it. Anwar, thank you so much for
coming on. Thank you guys
for this amazing shortbread.
Amazing.
Always love it.
And I'm glad I got to meet more of the family.
Exactly. Well, we'll keep mixing it up. The next time we have you on, we'll put Nick.
Yeah.
This way you'll get to do an interview with all the brothers.
Yes.
There you go. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Exit stage left.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you everyone for watching. Miranda Butler, thanks for watching the show this morning. Always such a pleasure.
Yeah, that was great.
What a blast. The hard work and the passion that goes into this just inspires me every day. Every day.
And luckily, our abuelita, I don't think ever made shortbread, so we can definitely say that this is better than our grandma's shortbread.
It's true. Yeah, the Spanish and the Italian tradition, I don't think has much in the way of
definitely
shortbread.
Not. Yeah.
They have different things that they make really well, but I don't think shortbread is.
So we gotta go on Amazon and say this is better than our.
There you go. Thanks so much for being on with me
today. Thank you.
Mike.
This is a fun show.
It's a pleasure. And a couple news. Just don't forget, it is Hispanic Heritage Month. So that's some.
I didn't know that.
Just that runs from the 15th to the 15th. So as Latinos, we're like.
So that's 2 months though.
No, 15th of September to the 15th of October.
But that's what I'm saying. That's 2 months. So it's not really. It's Hispanic. It should be Hispanic Heritage Months.
You're saying it's within too much food.
Yeah.
I mean, we're Latinos too. We love to celebrate, so we should be celebrating for 2 months at a time. Why not? Why stop on October 15th? Just go all the way to the end of October. So, and also this Saturday, 10 a.m. at Itch's Art Park, Black Business Expo for Charlottesville. So a lot of local entrepreneurs will be getting together. You can definitely go out and see all the amazing things that are going on. So we always have to highlight the business expos that are here. So Black Business Expo, Saturday at 10 a.m. at Itch's Art Park.
Itch's Art Park,
So be sure to check that out. Next week, got some more fantastic entrepreneurs on. We're going to have on entrepreneur Mildred Cowherd, as well as Rob and Shannon Campbell. So Rob, our friend from Castle Hill, he and his sister Shannon, they've got Croby's Urban Vittles. So a local business that they do. So they're going to be coming on to talk about that.
Wonderful.
So
that
that's
should be
going to be
exciting.
fun.
Yeah.
That is going to be fun. So we're looking forward to that. As always, be sure to send us any entrepreneurs you'd love for us to interview, get to know. We love having them on and just interviewing them. So that's always fun, and we encourage you to do that. Be sure to like and share. Send us any comments, questions you have on today's show. We'll bring them up. Tell us how great Michael was and how you're so happy that he was here today instead of Xavier. And so be sure
you
to
can
do
lie.
that.
It's okay. You can lie. Say something nice.
Exactly. We always love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. Thank you, Emergent Financial Services, for being our presenter. As of course, we love partnering with Castle Hill, with the Gym CVille, with Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, our friends Miguel and Chit from Craddock Serious Insurance, as well as for Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Michael, thanks so much for being on with me today.
Me, Alex.
Always a pleasure.
Good. We ate some cookies, learned more about
what more did you ask for? What more did you ask for?
Yep.
We learned a lot of things, and we got to eat some delicious shortbread. So, I mean, it's a win-win.
Yep.
It's an absolute win-win. Thank you, our audience, for joining us today. Thanks for your questions. Thank you for watching and for being part of this and being connected with Today, Mañana, and I Love CVille. We wouldn't be able to do it without you, so we appreciate it tremendously. We look forward to seeing you next week. But until next Thursday, as we always love to say on the show, hasta mañana.